1019 Grind Podcast, Toledo's source for exclusive news in music, business, sports, and entertainment.
Samantha Dixon.
Hey.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. So I wanted to bring you on to kind of talk to you about first of all, talk about your YouTube channel.
Oh, for sure.
I know you have a nice following on YouTube. What's your channel and what's it about?
Well, my channel is me. It's my name, Samantha Dixon.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are surprised by that because they're like, oh, you just talk about yourself all day. But it's really just because I don't have any specific topic.
Right.
I talk about everything. Personal experiences, current events, bullshit, anything that comes to mind that I think about for a specific amount of time. I've decided I have come up with a thought that needs to be shared.
Right. So
that's really what it came from.
Like recent events.
Yeah. Okay. So the reason I started making videos was I posted a picture of a woman wearing a hijab that was American flag themed. Mm-hmm. And this random white woman decided to comment and tell me that I was oppressing her American culture by wearing hijab. So
by wearing hijab?
Yeah, by just having it. Just wearing it. Yeah. So I was pissed. I did a Facebook Live rant in 2016 that went viral. And then I had people bother me about a channel for several years. So then I started. And
when did you start the actual YouTube channel?
I started actually making videos last year in January.
Last year in January?
Yeah.
So January of 2019?
Yes.
And how many subscribers do you have?
33,000.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
But I was like dedicated because I had so much built up. So for the first 3 months, I made at least one video every single day. I had 100 videos in 3 months. Yeah. So it grew pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I'm different. So people have a lot of questions for me.
Right. I mean, that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you on the podcast.
Course. I'm excited.
Because, I mean, one of the things that you talk about is religion and Islam. Mm-hmm. So you grew up, Christian?
Yeah. I was baptized as a Christian.
Is that Catholic or?
No, just regular Christian. Yeah, but my mother was married to a Catholic, so I'm familiar with that as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you grew up Christian all your life. Mm-hmm. When did you convert?
Well, I went through a phase when I was a teenager where I didn't really know what was right for me. I decided that Christianity wasn't because every question I had, I didn't get the answers that I wanted maybe.
Right.
So, and I just felt like people that experienced things that didn't deserve it didn't make sense that there could be a God that, allowed things to happen. So I was just doing my own thing. And then for the first time when I was like 16, I interacted with some Muslims and they taught me a little bit about their religion and it just kind of went from there. And the explanations, the guidelines, everything just felt like it meshed really well with what I needed. So I just clung to it.
Right. And I know there's a lot of similarities when it comes to Christianity and Islam.
Yes.
What, I grew up Christian since birth.
Right.
Like my grandmother was a pastor. My father was a minister. Yeah. So
they know what they're talking about.
Yeah. I mean, it's been my whole life. Like we went to church maybe 4 or 5 times a week.
Dang.
From the age of, since I was born until I was 17, 18.
Devout
right.
Christians,
Yeah. Like every day of the week that was possible for us to go. And my father was an evangelist, went on revivals like in Toronto, New York.
Oh, it was a whole movement.
Yeah.
Well.
Yeah.
That's cool though.
So yeah, he had his own ministry. So I grew up Christian and I believe in God, of course. But Islam, there's some parallels to it.
A lot of similarities.
So what can you talk about some of the similarities?
I will say that it's kind of looked at as Christianity was like the beginning step for Islam because we believe and we love and we cherish Jesus as a significant person. He was not necessarily God himself, but a speaker of God, a prophet of God. So we do value him as well as, Christians do. And we kind of take Christianity and Islam to us was brought about to kind of clarify a lot of things that got misconstrued when Christianity started changing a little bit because, sometimes they change the Bible or they'll say this happened instead of this.
Right.
So Islam was supposed to be a clarification in a way. And besides Jesus, there's a lot that we have in common, like Adam and Eve, Virgin Mary, you know, the basics, the core values. There's only one God. You know, a lot of similar sins, like we are not supposed to eat pork or consume alcohol. We're supposed to try to be modest.
Right.
Live your life in a way that is beneficial to you and other people around you. Like that was the part that really got me, because it's hard for me sometimes to focus on myself and put myself first. So when I have something in my life that makes me do better for other people to help them do better, it's like I don't know, it just works out so well. So I don't know.
No, keep going.
I don't know. I didn't expect to find something that gave me so much peace and clarity.
Right.
Because my life is chaos. I'm working out a world of problems. You know what I'm saying? But at the end of the day, Islam is very centering with all of the explanations and rules that I'm supposed to follow. Yeah, because let's be honest, a lot of people look at Islam like, oh, you're extremists. You,
right.
If women don't cover their hair, they get beaten. That's not true.
Right.
You know, there are a lot of misconceptions about my religion, but when you sit them down, Christianity, Islam, and Judaism, those three specifically, they're all Abrahamic beliefs. Yeah. So we have all of the most important core values exactly the same.
Right.
There's one God. Be a good person. And that's basically it.
Right. And a lot of the times Christianity or Christians they look down on Muslims a lot.
Yes, they do.
More than they do Judaism.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's because of the fact that there was something after Jesus. Mm-hmm. So according to Christianity, Jesus is the way, the truth, and the light. There is no other way to God but through Him. So that's what's taught, and that's what's preached, and and sometimes that can be as a Christian. I know a lot of Christians who would jam that down your throat, and if you don't believe that, like you're dumb.
Can't be Christian.
Yeah, you can't be Christian, or you can't be anything. You
Can't
can't go to heaven.
that.
That's extremist to me.
Yeah,
that's what it was back during the Crusades.
Yeah,
when they went and killed people who didn't convert to Christianity.
It's exactly this way or nothing. Right.
And they did that across the whole world. They came into America and to the Native Americans, and when they didn't, when the Italians came and tried to convert the natives to Christianity, they slaughtered them.
Right.
That was one of the start that Christopher Columbus did when he came over.
There is a lot of extremism in Christianity that people don't want to acknowledge is what it is.
They point out the extremism in...
They look at it as, they were showing them the right way because that's their beliefs.
Right.
So they're like, oh, if it's in the name of my belief, then it should be fine. This is acceptable. This is what needs to be done.
Right.
But...
No.
We can grow and we can be accepting of others and still be okay. Like everybody doesn't have to be exactly the same. The whole purpose of having different types of people is to learn and appreciate the differences.
Yeah. And there's a lot of pastors and ministers and pulpits still to this day who will tell people you are going to hell if you are Islam, if you are Islamic, if you are Muslim. Mm-hmm. And I don't know if I can agree with that.
No. Because
a person's heart, if they believe in the true God.
That's actually in Islam as well.
What's that?
That if you're not Muslim, that you...
And I can't agree with that because we all, it's crazy to me because after growing up Christian and knowing Muslims and knowing people who are Jewish, and it's like
knowing good people of other faiths.
Good people
no way
of other
could assume
faiths
that they would go to hell. Yeah.
Even within Christianity, there are different denominations, and they condemn each other.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. You believe in the same God. You have the same belief system.
Mm-hmm. Couple minor tweaks, and now you're enemies.
And you're enemies.
Yeah.
That makes no sense. That's something I don't believe that God is something that He's happy about. Like, all these people are fighting over.
I think it's blurred lines I think people are misconstruing the text
Yeah.
or the system itself, because even though I say in Islam that's the case, if you're not Muslim, that you're condemned, or I don't want to use the word condemned because I don't even think it's that heavy, but Islam also says that you can't be held accountable for things that you're not aware of. So if there is a sin or a rule or whatever you want to call it that you're entirely have never heard of or could even thought to believe that this is how it's supposed to be,
Right.
how could you be punished for it? And then it's also super big on intentions. So like when people say, certain things are sins, but accidents also happen. And you also could make an attempt to do something good and it go the wrong way.
Right.
In Islam, in the eyes of God, your intentions are what matters. The outcome is not necessarily important as far as scaling you as a person.
Right.
Of course, in real life, it matters. What happens matters. But as far as how God looks at you and your actions and what you do and how he should judge you, your intentions are what matter.
Right.
Like even as far as simple things like prayer, we're supposed to pray 5 times a day. Now, if I worked all night, I get off at 3:30 in the morning.
Right.
Fajr is our first morning prayer. It's right before sunrise. If I tell myself I'm just going to stay up, because if I try to go to sleep, I won't wake up. So I'm going to stay up, and then I try to stay up to pray, but then I fall asleep right before. It's still acknowledged that I put in that effort, that this is my
Right.
intentions of what I wanted to do. And I think that's one of the biggest things that drew me to Islam, because I need to be acknowledged for my efforts, not necessarily what I'm successful at doing.
Right.
Because I have a lot of work to do. I'm not perfect. None of us are.
Yeah, and I know a few people who look at Muslims and say, okay, you're not supposed to be doing that. I thought you were this, and I thought you were supposed to not eat pork or not smoke or not cuss. Like
I say the word bitch in every other sentence. I'm sassy. I grew up an American white girl in the ghetto and sometimes, and then also trailer trash in other times. So it's really just been surrounded by unsavory individuals.
Right.
So the personality that I have right now is blunt, disrespectful, loud. I will try to contain my vulgar language to the best of my extent
Right.
around certain people or in a professional setting. But when I'm casual or if I'm talking about something I care about, it's on the flow. I'm cussing because I cannot contain how I feel and what I need to say about things that matter.
right.
So I'm Muslim and I'm not supposed to cuss, but fuck you, bro. I don't know what to tell you.
I mean, Christians aren't
You know
supposed
what
to.
I'm saying?
That's in Christianity too. Like you're not supposed to use certain language, but as certain people do.
Right.
And I don't think that you should be condemned for that,
No.
because
There are
we
bigger
all
sins.
sin. Yeah, I mean, sin is
And
a sin.
much
First of all,
yeah, but how much are you really affecting yourself or people around you by saying a word, though? If you think about it, like I understand it's vulgar. The meanings behind them, or some of them were created specifically to be
right?
distasteful.
Yeah,
But if you're expressing yourself, if you're getting out your anger or whatever in a way that's not violent or affecting other people, like I said, like don't cuss people out and call them all types of hoes and bitches and stuff like that, because that's not nice. But like if I'm ranting about something that's important,
right.
and I say damn or shit or whatever, and don't take away from the message because I'm too passionate about what I'm saying.
Or don't take away from the person,
Yeah, exactly.
because you are.
I know a lot of respectful people that say some really bad things.
I know. Like Joe Rogan, I listen to Joe Rogan probably every day. To me, he's not a bad person. I mean, he cusses and says whatever first thing comes to his mind. But I know his intention. I know he may make a mistake and say something that's
If it's too
slightly
far and it
too
might be
far.
offensive, he'll acknowledge it
right.
and say
but
my bad.
Yeah, he'll acknowledge
Yeah.
it. Even if he doesn't do it right away, he will probably listen to what he said and say, you know what, on the last show I said this, or I made a mistake.
Right.
And that's
important.
That's important. I think that's what it's all about. That's about being human, first of all, and that's about acknowledging what you did wrong and fixing it.
And that's how you grow.
Yeah, that's how you grow.
And that's how we fix the problems that we have right now in our society. People
Right.
acknowledging that they might be carrying a little bit of misconceptions or distorted thinking.
Yeah, and it goes.
work
It's 3 sides to that.
Mm-hmm.
There's people who believe in that white people are the most dominant people on earth. That's why they have that complex. That's why they have that dominance. That's why they have that that feeling that, you know,
White privilege.
Yeah, white privilege. Or, and then there's black people who believe that okay, Black Lives Matter is a different It's a different movement than what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
Black Lives Matter is.
The problem with Black Lives Matter is there are people taking the movement and confusing it with the people that tried to make it an organization.
Yes.
They do not represent us. The statement is what's matter. The movement is what matters.
Right.
Everybody else trying to be a leader and speak for us, they're making us look bad.
Black Lives Matter, the movement, is what it should be. Mm-hmm. It's about Black lives being equal to white lives or to yellow people or red people, whoever.
Black Lives Matter too.
Right. Black Lives Matter
but it's
too.
a hashtag. It's a phrase.
Right.
You know what it means.
The actual Black Lives Matter organization, I don't want to get people all riled up, but the actual organization, the founding organization of Black Lives Matter is a Marxist organization.
Oh, really?
Yes. The two leaders, females, are Marxists. So I don't know if people know what that means, but look it up, Google it.
Right.
I'm not going to explain it on here.
No, not today. Not today.
Right.
But
I mean, we're just kind of off subject, but yeah, they are Marxists and they're known Marxists. So the actual organization is not who myself want to align with.
No.
The actual movement, Black Lives Matter, yes.
Nobody represents me, and I'm really big on that.
Right.
Like a lot of people say that because I'm a Muslim and I have a YouTube channel that I'm a representation of Islam, and I want to be
I see that.
clear
I see that in your comments too. A lot.
At all times, I do not represent my religion because my religion, in my eyes, I'm not speaking for non-Muslims or other people. In my eyes, my religion is perfect, and I am not. My religion is here to help me guide myself to be a better person.
Right.
So for me to be a representation would be false because I'm far from perfect. I make mistakes. I wear T-shirts in the plant when I work, and I'm supposed to cover my arms at all times, but I be hot. So I'm going to do what I want to do.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Just stuff like that. So when people take one person or one scenario or whatever it might be and accept that as a representation for a movement or a religion, or that's asinine. Do you not look more into something before you create an opinion about it? And that's what blows my mind about Islam. Like so many people, they'll disregard all the things that the United States has done in all the Middle Eastern countries and how they've torn these places up and tried to control them and take their resources. And then when they do what they can to survive, or when they even lash out as responses to the shit that they've had to experience, now they're terrorists. What were we when we started that shit? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
People don't always pay attention to the bigger picture of what's going on. They'll take one scenario, one person, one act, and now this has formed an entire opinion about so many things. And it just so frustrating.
Let me ask you, like, do you get Muslim women or men that kind of give you a hard time because you
I'm different?
Yeah, because you're different. You're not like them.
Yes. And it's funny the different ways that they come at me. Like some people will tell me that I'm not modest enough to be Muslim, and then for Eid, which is like it's a holiday for us, like Christmas. Basically, we dress up, we give gifts, we eat, we prayed, we do all that good stuff. Recently, I had dressed in a cultural dress for, I don't even know where it might have been from. Honestly, I bought it from a Muslim store in Dearborn. So, and I thought it was cute. And that's what mattered to me. It was modest and it was cute. And that was the purpose. But somebody had commented telling me that I was trying to be Arab or trying to be Indian or whatever culture that dress came from. And I'm like, bro, this is it's purple and it's got gems on it. I thought it was cute.
Right.
You are thinking way too far into this. I'm not trying to be anybody. I don't know if you noticed this about me, but I'm going to do what I want. And exactly how I am is me.
Was this from a video that you posted and they made a comment, or somebody in person?
No, this was one of the family pictures that I posted with my kids.
Okay.
Yeah, this was just like Facebook or something. But I do get a lot on the because with my videos, I acknowledge the fact that a lot of my viewers are Muslim. So I try to not aggravate them unnecessarily. Like a lot of the stuff I talk about is like feelings related. So I can avoid cuss words for the most part. And they appreciate that. I try to cover more consistently and they appreciate that.
Right.
But then they'll go on my personal Facebook page and say, "Oh my God, I can see your arms," and lose their minds. And I don't know what to tell you, bro. I really don't.
I mean, that, to me, that's ridiculous.
It is really, but at the end of the day, I can't ignore the fact that they're not wrong. I know what my religion says. I know how I'm supposed to dress and how I'm supposed to act.
Right.
And I don't follow those rules to the fullest extent that I could or should. But this is just who I am. And I don't want to change, honestly.
I mean, does anyone follow the rules or any rules?
They do their best.
I mean, everyone should do their best. I mean, that's all you can.
I don't. I've accepted. No, honestly, I've accepted where I'm at because doing more than what I do now would either silence a voice that I have that I'm trying to use,
right,
or make me unhappy.
Yeah.
And my purpose of being here isn't for other people. Me and God are straight. We have our conversations. He knows where I'm at. He knows my intentions. I'm not worried about him. So you guys telling me that I need to be worried about God, you need to worry about you.
Right. I mean, the funny thing is that when you say, you know, your relationship with God is what it is, and He knows your heart, and He knows you know what you're supposed to do, and you have this conversation, and it's like, does God has this different conversation with different people in these different religions and tell them to do different things?
We don't get responses. I'm not schizophrenic. I don't get a response.
No, I'm saying it's like when I'm really talking about rules
in general
in religions.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's no rule in Christianity that women have to cover their
specifically
right.
Says, well,
I mean, is there
technically, depending on which
Old Testament.
Exactly, depending on which scripture.
I mean, there is in the Old Testament.
Some of them do say.
But it was like when the New Testament came along.
They switched it up, though, and now it's not a rule anymore.
Right, because the New Testament came along and kind of, I want to say wiped out.
They made it modern.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things that bothered me for real. You can't tell me that this is legitimate if you keep changing it. These random men, these human beings, can tell me that God has decided something else for this
because
religion?
they hear from God.
Yeah, I don't like that.
I mean, what did Muhammad do? Like, how did he hear from God? What's the story?
I guess. Okay. See this. I see. What
I mean, because was Muhammad the only one that heard from God?
No.
Right.
No, because
Jesus, they did too, right?
Jesus spoke for God as well.
Right, and so did Moses, and Abraham, and David.
What they said was not changed.
And Elijah.
Very specific things to be memorized word for word, so verbatim, they have not been changed.
Right. So what changed?
That's what mattered. No, for like Prophet Muhammad, during Ramadan, when the Quran was revealed to him, mm-hmm. the exact things that were spoken to him and said were written down and then repeated to a trusted panel of scholars to memorize this, to make sure whenever it was spread, it was the exact same thing. And nobody could distort God's word. That's exactly what it was supposed to be. And there are people to this day that can recite to you the entire Quran. It is unchanged. So
now you're talking about because the Bible
itself. It gives, to me personally, it gives me less validity.
Yeah.
For so many people to be able to change it so many times. You can't tell me
that
the
different versions of the Bible?
Yeah.
Are you talking about when Jesus, when Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John had these experiences with Jesus and they wrote those books differently because of their experiences?
I get what you're saying.
Because that's what it was. They
were additions, not changes.
Right. I mean, when Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John wrote those books, they were with Jesus. Not they wasn't speaking for him. They interpreted what he said or what happened in his presence and wrote them down and wrote their books on that. Okay. It wasn't that they were getting different interpretations from God. It was that they were sharing their experiences. Luke was a physician, so his experience is going to be more
scientific.
Yeah, scientific. Okay. Matthew was a tax collector. So his is going to be more common because he dealt with the common man all the time. So their experiences are going to be a little bit different. I mean, when you read them, what happens is the same, but it's just that their experiences are different.
They're coming from a different perspective.
Right. Yeah.
Okay.
So it wasn't like people, they decided like, oh, this didn't happen. No, they just interpreted it different.
Okay.
Now, when it comes to when the Bible was completed, then there was a King James version. Then there's an international version. Then
That's
there's
what got me.
American. That's just the King James version of the Bible was written by a white man. Convert or translated by a white man who was a Catholic, King James, of course, and his interpretation of the Bible was made to
fit what he wanted.
Yeah. But a true believer of God can look beyond
what he put.
Right.
And know what's right.
Yes.
Understood.
Because when you look at the Bible, when you look at these different versions of the Bible, they all say the same thing. But then there's one scripture that might, this one, it don't line up.
Right.
Right. Because that person interpreted it kind of, to make it sound like slavery was okay.
Right. Okay, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But when you read a different version of it, it said, "Oh, okay, that's not what it says. That's not what is interpreted to say." So it wasn't God. It wasn't Christianity that changed the Bible. It was man,
right?
A person who changed the interpretation of what they wanted it to come across.
Exactly.
So I mean,
no, I get what you're saying, but that was really my issue. It's not Christianity itself. It's the people thinking they can control what it's supposed to be.
Right.
It's
I mean, it's like when I hear a lot of African Americans talk about what were Africans who were they worshiping
before they were
brought here.
And a lot of people say they were Muslim. And a lot of them were.
They could have been Muslim or they could have been Christian.
Yeah,
we don't know.
There was a very diverse.
Right. Africa is a huge continent.
Yeah. So there's no way to know for sure.
Right.
Yeah.
But when they brought them over, they used Christianity. They used the Bible
against them
because one, Africans didn't speak English,
right,
or Spanish,
right,
or French.
So you're Christian, I'm Christian. I'm going to teach you about this. Here, come with me.
Right.
Yes.
So they used it against them, even if there were Christian Africans, and they didn't know English, so the interpretation was totally different to them.
That was a big problem that I had with Islam. First, learning about it because before I had actually interacted with a Muslim for the first time. The only thing that I knew was the basic stuff they taught us in history class for the, world religions or whatever. They prayed 5 times a day. They didn't eat pork. That's
a terrible class, first of all.
I swear to God, looking back, they're stupid.
Very stupid.
They don't know. Like, let me just come in and give a quick seminar on how wrong you are about everything you're saying.
Right.
But anyways, we'll talk about that another time. Jesus, those people. And they're teaching it in classrooms every day. Like, it's facts. It blows my mind. Random topic, but I had to yell at my son's teacher because they were giving him homework that said Indians instead of Native Americans.
Oh. And
it pissed me off. What year is it? And you're still calling them Indians?
Right.
But anyways, what were we talking about? How people will take religious text and distort it for their personal gain.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that Islam is political because of how much it's been used in the Middle East to push forward political propaganda that is not beneficial to the people or the religion or the growth of the purpose of Islam, which is peace and understanding and love for God. And
I know another religion that did that.
Man,
Christianity.
Man,
that's what the United States was founded on, right?
Because you can look at a religious text, not understand the background, not read any further, just read one quote and distort it and make it seem like it means something else. Like there's something in Islam called, and I might even be using the wrong word because I don't ever reference it for real and I don't use it. It's not necessary for me. If I'm not mistaken, it's taqiyya, and it basically means that Muslims have like in the eyes of God, it is acceptable for you to lie about being Muslim. So if you are in a position where you're being attacked, these people want to kill you because you're Muslim,
Right.
you could unsinfully look in their eyes and lie to them and say that you're not Muslim. Take your scarf off, do what you need to do to survive, because it's you're protecting yourself. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
A lot of non-Muslims will take that term and say Islam gives us direct permission to lie and do whatever we want to do to non-Muslims.
Right.
And it's not about that at all. If you don't use it for the purpose, you're acquiring sin. Just like Muslim men can have up to 4 wives. If you don't go about it the right way, you are acquiring sin.
Right.
It is very difficult to realistically treat more than one woman entirely equal, to love them the same, to give them the same amount of time, the same amount of stuff, whatever. So that's why it's so heavily expressed that if you want to pursue this to be more like the prophet, you need to make sure you do it right. Once you do one simple thing that makes them unequal, you are now acquiring sin. Is it worth it? You know what I'm saying? So when people say these things about Islam, they're not referencing or acknowledging the rules behind it, or the reasoning behind it, or the meaning behind it, for real.
Right.
Like, Assalamu alaikum. Every time I see a Muslim, I'm wishing peace and blessings on them. It's literally a prayer to God for them every time I interact with them.
Right.
You can't tell me that people that do that wish death on everybody. Like, that's just
That's
insane.
what they say.
I used to think that the word jihad meant death to America. Like, people told me this as a teenager. So finding out that it actually means like internal spiritual struggle, like quitting smoking cigarettes, trying to stop cussing, trying to be more consistently with prayer, those things are jihad. It does not mean
like a sacrifice.
Yeah, it doesn't mean violence, holy war. Google, I had to email them and cuss them out and be on their ass, because in Google's definition, if you type in the word jihad, it said the first definition was holy war.
Really?
No, it's not. No, it is not. We're not wholly fighting everybody for anything. Islam is so big on doing or what you believe, like what's really in your heart. So to force religion on somebody, it's not even acceptable, or it doesn't even count for real. If you don't actually mean it when you say it and when you do it, it does
Right.
not count. So there is no such thing as forcing people to be Muslims, because we believe in dawah, which is telling people about their religion and letting them decide what they want from it. We don't go door to door. That's a Jehovah's Witness thing. You will find Islam. Allah will guide you to it if it's what's right for you.
Right.
We do not force our religion. So when anybody says anything otherwise, they're lying.
Well, I think that when people talk about Muslims forcing their religion on other people, they're talking about the Nation of Islam.
Oh, see, that's another thing. That's an entirely different religion.
See, it's not a different religion.
It is, though.
It's a different
Don't
denomination.
No, it's a different religion.
No. What I'm saying is,
they have accepted an entirely different prophet.
They have. Explain this to me.
To become a Muslim, to take your shahada, the phrase that you say is, I believe that there is only one God, there is no other God but Allah,
right.
and Prophet Muhammad is his final messenger. Those words, final messenger. So for a group of people to claim Elijah Muhammad as a word of, who told you that? Don't give your group a new name, because right now you have a lot of people in the world assuming that what you people are doing is what we're doing, and it's not the same thing.
Yeah, there's a lot of confusion.
I'm not taking away from their beliefs.
Right.
Do what you want to do. I support your happiness as long as you're being a good person. But do you know how many black men are in my inbox bothering me, telling me that I am following the wrong beliefs? But it's crazy also, though, because I'm
Nation
white.
Of Islam?
Yes. I can't be in the nation because I'm white, but you're still going to yell at me for being the wrong kind of Muslim. What do you want me to do? Kill myself? Like, go away.
Right.
Any religion that says that a specific kind of person is the only kind of person that can be in that religion is automatically false to me.
Yeah. I mean, I've never agreed with the Nation of Islam. I knew they were kind of a cultic group.
They're like a mild cult, mild extremist.
Yeah, they're not mild extremists. They're extremists. I say that because anytime, like you said, a religion says a specific race is the devil First of all,
Yes, thank you.
that's a little extreme.
I'm super nice. I'm not the devil.
Right, I know this. and it's what's crazy is that I watched the Malcolm X documentary on
I knew you were about to say that.
Netflix, and that kind of opened my eyes to the fact that the Nation of Islam basically they killed this guy alongside with the other people.
We are all very aware of the fact that his life was ended by his own people.
Right.
And that he could have made
it wasn't by his people because he left the Nation of Islam and became a true Muslim when he went to Mecca.
I appreciate that correction.
Yeah.
That's significant. It really is.
It is. And people don't realize that about Malcolm X, that he left the nation because of he really opened. When he went to Mecca, his eyes really opened.
It changes your life.
Yeah, and it changed his life.
I've never experienced it, but I can tell by talking to other people after the fact.
Right.
There are so many things in Islam that make it so easy. Like you can't, and I hate to gush about my religion because it's super corny, but like simple things like women experiencing childbirth is so intense and severe and painful that it wipes their sins away. You are now forgiven because of this.
Wow.
You just graced the world with another life. So you have a new slate because of that.
Right.
Going to Mecca, doing the turnaround, the building like that, it gives you a fresh plate, or a fresh slate, a new start. Just stuff like that I think is so big for the people like me that feel like we've been extremely unnecessarily not amazing sometimes. And we need a fresh start. I want to be able to move forward. So for God to tell me that I can move forward, that's pretty dope.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think he really, when he experienced that, he came back and they didn't, of course, the nation.
Didn't like it.
They didn't like it.
Yeah.
First of all, they didn't like it because Elijah Muhammad basically sat him down and told him he couldn't minister anymore.
Right.
So when he left and came back, he started his own mosque, and they didn't like that because he was teaching true Islam instead of the Nation of Islam. Mm-hmm. And they knew because Malcolm X was a huge speaker. He was well known, so they knew when he started teaching they
were going to follow.
Yeah, all the people that was in the nation were going to leave the nation and go to true Islamic religion, and that was a problem for the nation because the Nation of Islam is only there to profit money.
I don't know if you noticed, but the Nation of Islam is kind of like they nitpicked things that they wanted from Islam and Christianity.
Yeah.
Like the whole ministers thing and
right.
Like they just chose things that they liked from both, slammed it together.
Yeah, that's kind of weird, right?
And they fed off of the fact that racism is so heavy in America.
Right.
Because when they targeted Black Americans, telling them this is the way we put you above everybody.
Right.
People that have felt like they've been put below for so long, they needed that.
You know what they did?
Brainwashing.
the Nation of Islam would tell poor Black people to come to our religion, drop Christianity, come to our religion, and we will take care of you. You have a house, you have a job. We'll give you jobs, which they did. You got jobs in the neighborhood, whatever. But once you did something that they did not like, you were exiled.
Oh, it's like Scientology kind of.
They took away your house because they owned the house.
Right.
They fired you from the job
because borrowing a life.
Yeah, they fired you from your job because they owned the businesses. So it was like it was a trap.
They filled a role to have bodies in their movement. That's what it was. The purpose of them being there. You claim yourself to be a believer. Look like we have a wide following, like we have something that we stand for something that's important. We'll give you these things, but you have to be perfect. The moment you don't do what I need you to do, now you have nothing.
Yeah.
Scientology did the same thing.
Oh, I don't know anything about Scientology.
I learned about it more recently. I didn't know anything about it at all, but I know there are a lot of celebrities like Tom Cruise.
Tom Cruise, yeah.
He's like the main one. But it's insane.
It was crazy is he married Katie Holmes, who was Catholic. Mm-hmm. So I don't know if she actually converted.
No, I think.
I know
they still together.
No, they're not still together.
I think that was the reason.
Okay.
I didn't want to say that, and I could be mistaken, but if I feel like that was the reason that they didn't stay together.
Okay.
Because that belief system, like it is a cult.
Yeah, I know. Yeah.
They like beat things into their followers, and
what? Like physically beat?
Okay, you need to watch. There is I don't know if it's a documentary series necessarily, but it's something Remney. What's her name? King and Queens. What's her name?
King of Queens?
Yeah, King of Queens. That show.
Oh,
Yeah, something Remney. Alyssa Remney.
I don't know her
Melissa.
name.
I don't.
But yeah, I'll
She attempted Scientology, and was in it for a good amount of time. So she experienced a lot. So she had a lot to say. I didn't know anything about this religion until I saw her show. They are insane. They there's like levels of mental state, and that's like the religion. You
Right.
have to progress to a certain level of the higher being.
Yeah. It's
And
like a pyramid scheme type of
exactly,
thing, right?
exactly. And the whole
You got to recruit a certain amount of people to.
and it's they don't realize that, like, when they're telling you to go after celebrities or people with a lot of money to join, there's a purpose for that.
Right.
Because any religion should be about guiding people to a path that enlightens them or makes them better, or whatever the case.
Yeah.
If your sole purpose is to bring rich people to your group, I know what you're doing.
Well,
It's very obvious.
I think they kind of adopted that from Christianity, right?
A little
well,
bit.
not from the actual Christianity, but from the church, I should say.
The church.
Yeah, the church. The church is a organization, obviously, and the organization wants people who have jobs or who are wealthy to give.
Financially stable.
Right.
They have a voice or a face.
Right,
That could
and especially mega churches. They have celebrities
Is that
who are
Joel Osteen or whatever?
yeah, or in this some other ones in Atlanta and in Dallas who have celebrities, and in Los Angeles who have celebrities come to the churches, and that's why their church they grow so fast. Because first of all, if a celebrity goes to a church, anyone in that area wants to go to that church.
Oh yeah.
And if they found that person goes to that church, so they're all about bringing in money. Mm-hmm. So one of the Christian rappers that I listen to, Lecrae, he's a Christian, but he's not a church goer
Okay.
type of Christian.
Okay.
He believes in God, he believes in Jesus, but he doesn't believe in this in the
Construct of having to go to
constructs
this building.
of this building who require you to pay them
For your presence.
for your presence. One, two, for a man who's the pastor who not all pastors, because I know some great
good ones,
pastors and some
yeah.
great ministers, but some pastors who require you to do certain things to be a member, or require you to give because of your status,
Yeah.
because of the money that you make. They want you have to give this amount of money because you are, you make $150,000 a year or whatever.
Right.
So I kind of feel the same way. Like I still believe in God. I love God. If I pray every single day, every morning. I pray the same prayer, and I believe that He's the reason why I've survived the things that I've survived in life. I know this for a fact. If it wasn't for Him, like I wouldn't be here today because of some things I went through. And I don't shoot anybody's religion. I don't care what religion you're in. I don't hold anything against anybody's religion, but I believe in God. I believe in Jesus. But I don't believe that I should have to go to church every day or every Sunday or every Bible study.
Right.
And I don't believe that I have to pay certain amount of money to make it to heaven.
Right.
Like that it just doesn't make sense to me. And one thing that I look at, I don't want to talk too much because I'm taking up all the time.
Okay.
But one of the things I looked at in the Bible when Jesus went to the temple and they were selling goods in front of the church, and he destroyed it because that's something you do not do.
Right.
Jesus
You
was
don't
not
profit from
right.
God.
Jesus was not a churchgoer. He didn't go to church. He looked at the Pharisees.
Bigger picture.
Right. He looked at the Pharisees. They looked down on him because he didn't go to the temple and pray.
Right.
Or that he didn't go to the temple and teach. He didn't go and listen to the ministers in the temple. So they looked down on him because you're not a true prophet. You're not this because you don't do this, this, and this, and
you're
this.
Supposed to do
Right. And that's a religious. That's religious. That's religion. That's not being a
That's
Christian.
my problem with religion overall.
Right.
Like,
I am not a religious person at all.
You're spiritual.
I'm very spiritual.
I can say that. I probably should say that for myself as well, because our mosques, women are not required to go.
Okay.
But we do have a I don't know if you want to call it a sermon or whatever, but it's Fridays. Like you have Sundays, we're supposed to go on Fridays. The men are supposed to go if they are able to, but the women are not required.
Right.
I like that, but I'm not a group setting pray kind of person. Like me and God is me and God. I don't need everybody else to see that I'm praying to know how I feel about God.
Right.
So having to go to this establishment for people to stare at me is unnecessary in my opinion, honestly. And then when it comes to like the money that you give when you go into church or whatever it might be, Islam made me happy about that, because it used to piss me off seeing the pastor drive off in a Cadillac while all his people in his church are sitting here poor talking about they need help.
Right.
In Islam, charity is super big. It's one of the 5 pillars of Islam, that you contribute to your fellow man. If you are in a position above somebody, you assist them up. You do something. So on our holidays, we're required to donate a certain amount. But the only reason it doesn't bother me is because I've witnessed this money go to people that need it.
Right.
I have been a person that has gone into one of those mosques saying my car broke down and I need to get to work this week to be able to, keep my bills, whatever. And those people handed me a $500 check.
Wow.
It's Zadaka. It's charity. It is, you are a person of God, or you're a person that needs help. You're showing me, you're proving to me that you need help. So I know it's going to somewhere necessary. And they do that all the time for a lot of people. So like mosques, man, they can have all my cash. Honestly, they really can. And they take it so far as to like their religious buildings, they don't beautify to a certain extent, because you're wasting money on making this building look pretty when it should be focused on the community that it's here for. It's here to serve these people.
Right.
So like, I love that.
Right. That's one thing. This church that I recently went to, I actually grew up in the church. It was called Pinewood Tabernacle. Now it's under new leadership called the Tabernacle. Okay. And the pastor is Dr. Calvin Sweeney. He's a very smart man. Obviously, he just got his doctoral, I think, about 10 years ago. But his wife is fantastic. The whole church leadership is great, and that's one thing that they actually do focus on is community. They have tons of programs for kids, for adults. They partner with Cedar Creek to do food giveaways, awesome. school back to school giveaways. They serve breakfast, lunch, and dinner days of the week. Before COVID, so they was doing all this stuff. This is how
community stuff, and that's how it's supposed to be.
Right, that's how it's supposed. That's why I love them. Yeah, that's the way church is supposed to be. That's
a representation of Christianity.
Right, exactly.
Because that's how you're supposed to do it.
Yes, and I love them. Yeah. Like if I was to go to church every Sunday, that would be the place. That would be the
place to go.
Right, and if every church was like that, I wouldn't have a problem with church.
Christianity.
Yeah, with Christianity. Yeah. I wouldn't have a problem with it, but it's just the other churches.
There's so many people representing it incorrectly.
Right. There's other churches who are terrible at representing Christianity, who on Sunday morning or any day of the week they have a service. They have an offering, right? Offering at the beginning of the service. Then they have a mid-service offering. Then they have an offering at the end of the service. Mm-hmm. And it's like, okay, how many offerings are you going to have? And then when they don't have enough money, they come back and say, okay, we need 25 people to stand up with $50 so we can make our quota or budget, whatever they want to say.
I feel like I need to ask you what you're doing with this money. I'm not giving it to you. I'm sorry. If there's a man on the side of the road or somebody, let it be somebody with their kids, bro. If it's somebody with their kids, they're getting all my cash. Right. I can't even.
I mean, I do that all the time. I have no problem with giving somebody in need.
Yeah, but if I'm giving money to an institution or an organization, if you don't show me paperwork with
Right.
you actually helping people,
Right.
I might fight you. Because how dare you claim to be for the people and then take advantage of them, take advantage of our generosity,
Right.
and come up off of other people's struggle.
Yeah, I mean, because I've known,
It's insane.
actually growing up in church, people who are broke, no money,
And they still give.
they still will give their last $20 in the offering, just because
They feel like they're
the
supposed
preacher
to.
said, when you give this $20, God is going to bless you. I know you need a new car. I know you need food in your house.
They take
Give that
advantage.
last. If you give your last, sacrifice your last $20, you know God is going to bless you. I'm not saying that he won't. I don't know that, but
You don't speak for God. You don't know
can't
miracles. You can't
right.
guarantee them a miracle.
Right.
Where is that car coming from? Were you going to pull them aside after the service and offer to co-sign for them to get a car? Is that
Right.
what, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like,
I believe.
can't make
I
those
believe that
statements.
there are prophets of God, but I don't believe that every minister in the
Is a
church
prophet? Hell
is a
no.
prophet.
Hell no.
And that can say what's what and what's going to happen.
There's
And
some
that's a huge problem in church, not just the black church,
people assume
in
that
church.
their word is
and Christian
like
church,
word of God,
right?
like
Yeah,
you.
yeah,
Yeah.
and that's one of the things that it's a turnoff, especially for somebody who's coming up who really doesn't know about church, and they go to church, and I invite my friend to church, and
this is the experience
this
they
is
have.
this is the experience they have. It was like, wow, are they robbing these people?
Right.
So
Are you in a cult? Because it
and
sounds
it's-
like a cult.
there's problems with every
religion.
religion. You know,
Institution,
there's some
group.
good ones and there's some bad ones.
Yes.
And it's like, how do people, like, how does somebody come to you and say, what do I know? How do I know what you doing is right? Or how do I know, the Islam that you practice is the correct way to practice?
Right. I practice incorrectly. I'm entirely aware of that. No, I'm just being honest because I know how I represent myself is vulgar. Like I said, I cuss a lot. I have activities that I partake in that I'm not supposed to. I dress less modestly than I should.
Right.
But I still entirely wholeheartedly believe in the basic teachings of my religion.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? I just think that, and you can't point to any type of person with any type of religion, because I have a friend that's a Satanist.
Oh, wow.
I didn't even know what that meant. I thought that meant that you wanted like you wanted to promote like child pornography and violence and shit. You know what I'm saying? Like I just assumed that they just liked all evil things. And then this guy that I used to go to school with, I grew up with him. He's one of the nicest people I've ever met. He has a passion for dogs and golden retrievers.
Wow.
Like watching him defend me in comments when people are attacking me about my religion, it gives you a new perspective. Like I don't judge anybody based on their religion. It's about morals. How do you act? What do you do? So your belief system, I'm not going to judge. I'm just going to look at you, see what you do, and go from there.
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And I think that's something that we all should take on, as far as even not just with religion though, with politics, with
race
skin
issues,
color.
Yeah.
First of all, there is no race. There's only one race.
Yeah. But when we're getting down
No, I'm
to the
saying-
nitty gritty, yes,
No,
I
seriously.
agree. But when we're talking about this topic,
Right. We're talking about color.
That's how we reference it.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I'll change it now.
Mm-hmm.
I'll change the narrative. It's color.
All right.
Because
Color.
that's
Okay.
how dumb it
All
is
right.
though.
You're right. You're right.
We fight
You're literally
over
judging people because they look differently than you.
they look different. You have different eyes, eye color. That's what they did. That's what
That's how it
Hitler
started.
did.
Eye color.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
That's how it started though. Because you have gray eyes or blue eyes, you go over here. People with brown and black eyes go over that way. And you are the good people and you are the bad people. You come with me, you go on the fire pits.
And it wasn't hard for him to convince a whole lot of people that that was the right thing to do.
Right.
These people are the enemy. They've never done anything bad to you.
Right.
But I'm explaining to you these reasons why they're the problem, that they are the cause for the problems that you have personally.
Right. And when it comes to Islam, people look at Islam as terrorist because there are some terrorist
Groups
that
claim to be led by the Islamic teachings.
Right,
Yes,
right.
of course.
who, when you look that the comparison back when they did the Crusades, there were Christians who claimed to be, there were Crusaders who claimed to be Christian, who used the same thing. You know, there were a group of Christians who slaughtered people.
And
it's the same thing.
It's insane.
And so you take, and then Christians don't look at it that way. Like, you know, there were bad Christians too. So you can't categorize everybody into a terrorist group. And most Muslims aren't terrorists.
That I have a post on Facebook that came up in my memories the other day.
Okay.
It actually said, I would prefer if everybody would stop saying not all Muslims are terrorists and change it to most Muslims are not terrorists. Because saying not all Muslims are terrorists are making it seem like we have a few good ones amongst a million bad ones.
Right. The right thing to say is,
it's the opposite.
Most Muslims are not.
Exactly. Yeah. Most of us.
Is that what I just said a minute
The way that you said it was good.
Okay.
The way that you said it was good. Seriously. And I do want to acknowledge really fast that specifically in my religious beliefs, suicide under any circumstance is a sin. So if there is a suicide bomber, I don't care what they said his purpose or stance was for. Yeah. Our God is sending him to hell.
Right.
Okay. So he doesn't represent us at all.
I think that's,
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then, another thing, one of my favorite things about Islam, actually, there is a quote from our Prophet Muhammad, and I won't say it entirely correctly because the wording just sounds more beautiful than how it comes out of my mouth. But it basically says that there is no Arab above a non-Arab and vice versa, and there is no black man above a white man and vice versa, except for in piety. How you represent yourself, how you are to other people, how you who you are as a person. Right. That is the only thing that you are judged, gauged on, valued for, all that. Everything else is irrelevant. How you look, how you act, where you came from, the amount of money in your pocket. No, who are you as a person? And that's the only thing that matters.
Right.
And that is like, yes, yes,
yeah.
Thank you.
Right. Yeah, and I wish we all could practice that.
It would be it would solve a lot of problems that we had if everybody just took a step back, get rid of the assumptions, get rid of what you were told, because word of mouth is trash. People lie every day. So somebody telling you that this is this, do some research of your own. Right. Come down to the bottom and build your way up with facts.
Yeah. Yeah, and I wish, that we could sit down and have these conversations more often. Not just like on a podcast, but like in general. Like a lot of people won't sit down with you
because of the fact that I'm Muslim.
Right, right. And they won't ask you questions. Like it would be better for me to ask you a question that I don't know about Islam.
Do you have any questions on the top of your head?
I mean, I think I've asked.
All right, cool. All right, if there's anything lingering, just let me know.
I mean, yeah. Because
I'm an open book and I will not be quiet.
Yeah. And I wish that we will have these conversations, even with Islam, talking to Christian people or Judaism. The more we talk and have these conversations, the more understanding we will have instead of judging. There's a lot of judging when it comes to religion and politics.
We fear what we don't know.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to politics,
we judge what we don't know.
When it comes to politics, like I don't affiliate with any political party. No. Not Democrat, not Republicans, because they both have an agenda.
Exactly, they can't entirely represent what I stand for because they have their own ulterior.
Because when you look at
motives.
the Democratic Party, I don't want to get too political on this podcast, but when you get looking into the Democratic Party, they believe that. I don't even want to talk about it.
Well, you done started it now. You spit it out.
Well, they believe that you should be able to kill a baby.
The Democratic Party believes that you should be able to kill a baby. Finish that sentence, because what the fuck?
I mean, abortion.
Oh, see, that's not the same thing.
Yes, it is.
It's not the same thing.
Yes, it is.
It's not the same thing.
There's a partial birth abortion when the baby is 6 months in the womb. But there has
to be a purpose for it, though, like a medical emergency.
Is it?
There, if I'm not mistaken, it has to be because that was the only reason that I say it's not killing a baby. Because if there's a woman who's pregnant and her life is in jeopardy, And
Okay. Maybe that's maybe I misunderstood then.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that the only exceptions are medical emergencies or
For a partial
life-threatening.
birth.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
Because I mean, it was
once
just
you
crazy
hit-
when I saw like the baby is actually going through the birth canal as a 6-month-old, fetus.
Right, because they can survive at 6 months.
Yeah.
Like with the technology that we have today.
So
a baby
that's
could
out the door now.
survive. Don't quote me, but if I'm not mistaken, the last time I read up on this, the only time that they allowed any type of abortion or termination is for medical or like severe immediate reasons. They weren't just gonna, you're 6 months pregnant, you're just now wanting to kill this baby. Okay, let's do that. That's not at all allowed. I think the time frame when you're learning the gender is when they cut it off. Before, you have to have a legitimate, actual reason to have.
I mean, I read before that they supported that. Like the Democratic Party just supported that.
They do. They're extremists for everything. They extremely support. I don't. The way I'm saying this is probably going to come off wrong, but they're like overly for LGBT. They're overly for abortion. They're overly for everything that makes people think they're going to get more freedoms.
Right. Yeah. When it comes to welfare and Social Security,
they're overly for taking care of people to give them the option to be lazy, so they can be picked.
Right. I believe that there should be a system in place to get people off of welfare. Yeah. There should be a limit.
You don't get to just sit there.
Right? Yeah. There should be a limit. No, well, there's a limit, but there's a renewal.
Okay.
So after 2 years or however long you can renew and you're still in the situation, so you can still get welfare benefits. But I believe there should be a process in place to say, okay, you are on welfare, but we have this educational program you can go through, and you go through these 6-week classes. And you take these classes, and you learn this job or you learn this skill. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then you graduate with this certificate, and then you can take this certificate, and because you went through this program, now you can get into college, and you're eligible for scholarships for college. So now you can go towards your associate's degree or any kind of other program. And then when you're in this program, now you can get an internship while you're in school.
Growth.
Right. Mm-hmm. It's a progress.
There
are progression.
There are a lot of problems in the system. There are a lot of tweaking for things that need to be done, because there are a lot of people that get over on the system, and a lot of people that they fall short. They're being fucked by the system because they just barely don't meet certain guidelines, and they just barely did something else to where they don't qualify for things. So they're struggling when they're working really hard and other people are doing nothing and they're being treated.
It's kind of like us, right?
Royalty.
We have a decent job.
Yeah, we do okay.
And it's like we can't get any kind of benefits. We can't get any kind of anything from the government.
Right.
So when something happens like COVID and everything,
that was a whole
shuts down,
situation.
and I make more than $100,000 a year. Like I don't get a stimulus check because I didn't make less than what. So
because I did good last year.
Yeah, because
this year
I did good.
Struggle.
Now that I don't have an income coming in,
right?
I don't get anything. So the system is kind of not kind of messed up. It's messed up.
It's entirely
especially
broken.
for
every system in the United States that branched from the Constitution is broken.
Yeah,
because the Constitution was built to put white men specifically above everybody else and keep them in power. So anything, honestly, that has to do with the Constitution, until they decide to change it, I'm not talking about amendments, I'm not talking about additions, whatever. No, take that shit and rewrite it, because you built it to only help a certain kind of people.
Right.
Every system that was built based off of that is broken and terrible. The incarceration system, people going to prison for things that they did not do, how they're being treated while they're in prison. I have a brother that's in prison right now. He's rehabilitated. He's an amazing person, but he's still there. Listening to him deal with this COVID shit, how they would quarantine them into rooms or whatever around other people that could potentially be sick or whatever, and they're like forcing them to be not infected, but what's the word, in contact with other people that are sick because they don't want to properly deal with the situation.
Right.
Like there's so much wrong with this country.
Yeah.
Every institution that's in place right now needs to be dealt with.
Right.
Every person that's in power needs to be checked. They need to be eyeballed and forced to prove that they should stay in their position.
Right. And there's a lot of us look at the Republican Party like they're the problem. No, the Democratic Party is a big problem too.
Oh yeah, no, it's
because they are the reason why some of these criminal justice the reason why the criminal justice system is messed up because of the Democratic Party. That they what was the bill that they passed back in 1992? I think that Bill Clinton I forgot what it's called.
Regarding what?
Regarding well, it was something about the drug. It was the drug
war on
bill.
Drugs.
The war on drug. It was a drug bill that incarcerated.
That was targeted for black people.
Yeah.
The
And Bill Clinton put that in.
The war on drugs was to target black people.
Right. Bill Clinton put that into place, and Joe Biden signed it.
Because when white people do crack, it's a pandemic, but when black people do it, they need to go to prison.
Yeah. So that happened back in slavery days when they freed the slaves. It was something written to where whatever they did, whatever crime they committed, we're going to put them back into prison in the prison system and make them slaves.
Right.
That was written right into the bill.
They've been almost
when they freed the slaves. That's in the 13th Amendment. Yeah.
They really have, because if you look at our incarceration rates based on other countries, it's terrible. If you look at the percentages of how many African Americans we have versus white Americans, 12%
of African Americans,
and how many of them are incarcerated.
Right.
You cannot tell me.
12% African Americans in this country. 33% of African Americans take up the prison system.
You can't tell me, without being a flat out racist, that the issue is that there is a personality trait in African Americans. That's not what it is. We have a broken system that is putting them at a disadvantage. Yeah,
that's the whole thing, the disadvantage. And when you give somebody a disadvantage from the start, they're gonna feel
some type of way.
They're gonna feel like there's a system against them. When you free the slaves, and first of all, let's play Monopoly, right? We're gonna play. You have all your properties and all your money. I'm gonna play too, but everything that I win and I earn, I give it to you for the first 4 hours of Monopoly. For the first 4 hours, I give you all of my money, all of my property. And then I start over. You still have all that wealth that you passed on to your kids and your grandkids.
Talk about this all.
And I have no property, no money. So now after 4 hours of playing Monopoly, now I can start making money. But
you already have this wealth that you can invest with. Grow
you have all that. So you bought businesses and more property and expanded your wealth. And I have money now, but
you're starting lower. Because they have an advantage.
The money that I have, I still have to pay you part of the money.
Oh,
that I make, right?
More money.
So now, and then I do eventually start making, building businesses and building homes. But after 2 hours, you tear down all my homes, you burn them up, you burn up my businesses, and you take all my money. So now I have to start all over again.
Right.
But this time, when I start over, you say, okay, you can now buy property, but you can only buy Mediterranean and Baltic. You can't buy Boardwalk. You can't buy St. Charles Place. You can't buy Kentucky Avenue. Can't buy Tennessee.
Are you referencing redlining right now?
Yes, that's redlining. Okay. So now I can only buy Baltic and Mediterranean. So it's like, okay, now I'm in impoverished land. I can't build wealth on those two properties. I can buy a house and that's it. But the house is only worth $50.
Right.
So I can't rent it out if I rent it out, I'm not going to be profitable. I can't build a business from that.
You know, this scenario that you just did, it gave me a thought kind of. I didn't, like, my knowledge of or my awareness of things that are going on has grown over the years. But for example, like when I had this time period where I thought I wanted to be a realtor, that was the moment that I learned about the details of redlining and how systemic racism affects people in the housing community or in the housing, whatever you want to call it. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people are unaware of all the different ways that racism is currently affecting our community.
Yeah.
They see it as, well, there are no slaves, so there's no racism. Okay, but you can see two 19-year-old boys go into court the same exact day to see the same exact judge because they both had the same exact amount of weed on them. And the black teenage boy gets twice as many years as the white one.
Right.
That's not acceptable.
Yeah.
And there's so many other things like that, like redlining, you know, like being picked for jobs. And then they want to throw affirmative action in your face. Oh my God, I'm so sick of this argument. Do you not realize that if it didn't exist, you would see nothing but white?
Yeah. Yeah, because most of the time you're going to hire somebody who looks like you.
Exactly. Could it be tweaked? Probably. But the fact of the matter is, it is necessary and required for us to fix the bullshit that our ancestors started.
Right.
We have to start over. If that means us starting from the bottom a little bit with everybody else that is still forced to be at the fucking bottom for all this time, do that. Grovel with your community and build it up together. It's very simple.
Right. Wouldn't you want less losers in the world? Wouldn't you want less
Why does my
homeless
success
people
mean your lack of success?
Yeah, just because I'm getting what I deserve doesn't mean that's taken away from what you already have.
Exactly, or what you deserve, or what you earn.
Right, what
Work
you earn.
for it and earn it. It shouldn't be about favoritism or getting the upper hand. Work for what you have, and if you're in a position of advantage, you help people that need help. It's man.
Yeah, I mean, it's simple in words.
But some people are greedy, and some people are short-sighted. Some people refuse to see the bigger picture because it doesn't affect them.
I mean, it's hard.
Yeah.
To be honest, it's hard for somebody to realize and come to realization, come to the acknowledgement that this person has been screwed for the last 100 and something years, and to say, you know what, they do deserve a break today. They do deserve to have the same wealth that I have. They do deserve to have the same chance that I have.
Right.
Their kids do deserve to go to a good school and to be able to build houses and wealth.
Or to have the benefit of the doubt and not be murdered for having a toy gun at a playground.
Yeah.
Simple things.
Right. Yeah.
The benefit of the doubt.
Right.
Like
he should be able to walk down the street
concept.
with his hood on. There's the second. This is the second. Elijah. What's his last name? McClain. Was the second person who was murdered because he was walking down the street. Somebody called the police on him because he was dancing in the street with his headphones on. And he didn't hear the call. Because he has headphones on. And then when he saw the police officer, of course he was probably frightened. Because he didn't know why he was being approached by 3 officers or how many what they were. So he was afraid. So of course he's going to say, I'm an introvert. You know, I don't mean no harm. I'm not doing anything. So he was defensive, yes, because he was scared. He was frightened out of his life because he knows the history of what happens. So we should be able to do these things, walk down the street. And
realistically speaking, knowing that the atmosphere of racism that we have in our society today, like, first of all, I'm sick of hearing excuses for police to do these things. They're being given excuses for, they were afraid. Why are the people that you're giving weapons to and signing an oath saying that they will protect and serve, why are they not held at a higher standard?
Because they don't have enough.
They should have a higher standard. If they can't be in these high stress situations with children where they fear for their lives, they don't need a gun and they don't need to represent me or protect and serve me. You're not protecting anybody. I had another thought and then I lost it.
Well, one thing is police don't have enough training.
Oh, at all. 9
months at the academy and you're out on the streets. That's not enough training. Was it 18 months to be a barber? So when you're a Navy SEAL, it's 18 months. It takes 18 months for a Navy
And
SEAL.
it's jam packed.
Right.
From the moment you wake up till the moment you go to sleep. That's training.
So there's physical training, there's psychological training, there's classroom training. You have to know how to interact with people. As the Navy SEALs, when they went to Afghanistan, the second wave, they told them, we have to retrain you because now we're going in. We're not going in to fight and kill. We're going in to protect the people of the Afghani people. Right. So now we have to train you differently. You have to go in and talk to the people.
You're going in here on a different type of tip.
Yeah. Exactly. You're going in here, you're going to talk to the people. You're going to get to know the people so they can trust you. Right. So when something happens, they can come to you and say, hey, this is happening. Or these people, the rebels are coming in, wherever they were called, coming in to do whatever. Right. Instead of going in to kill innocent kids and women and men. So that's what needs to happen with the police department. Retrain, defund, or whatever you want to call it. Retrain police officers to come in and talk and be part of the community. First of all. Second of all, train them how to do, train them how to
assess the situation
or de-escalate the situation. Yeah. Instead of
most psychology courses are definitely necessary.
Most officers come in and escalate the situation.
How many times have you seen somebody, a story of a police officer interacting with a special needs person? The man that died because his autistic client was in the middle of the street having a meltdown, and this black man stood here with his hands up saying that we are not a threat. I'm here to de-escalate him, and they killed him.
Yeah.
How do you kill the therapist here to help this special needs man? Are you kidding me? How is that justifiable? It doesn't make sense. And another thing that I want to know, the questionnaire that they force you to sign or answer to be on a panel for like jury duty, to make sure you're not racist, to make sure you don't have any specific beliefs.
Do they have that same?
Do they have that shit for the police?
Probably not.
Because you can't tell me that you could justifiably give this man a gun and not know whether or not he has hate in his heart for a whole ass specific group of people.
I don't think there is a psychological testing.
That's retarded.
For police officers. There needs to be psychological testing. There needs to be more physical training on how to detain nonviolent offenders.
The policies need to be changed entirely.
Yeah. Well, one thing that I think that needs to happen is they need to have a group of I don't know if I want to say officers or civilians that are called to nonviolent situations. Right. Yeah. If a man is in a parking lot and he's drunk, he doesn't need a police officer to come, and he's not driving. He's just sitting in the parking lot. Right. He doesn't need a police officer to say, we're going to take you to jail. He's going to be scared. Right. If somebody told me I'm going to go to jail, I'm going to be scared.
Already intoxicated, already under the influence.
I'm drunk. Okay, so I'm not, don't come in and threaten me. Right. There needs to be somebody to say, okay, we need to call you a cab or Uber so you can go home. Don't drive the car.
Let's get you somewhere safe.
Right, let's get you somewhere safe. It should be, relevant. They went to that situation to fight him instead of going to protect him. He should have been protected against himself because he was drunk. Right. You still have, just because he's drunk, that don't mean you don't have to protect him. You still have to protect and serve him. Protecting and serving him was to call a Uber or something to get him home safely.
Right. Or even give him a ride. Throw his ass in the back. Throw him home.
Yes. Put him in the back seat. I've been
because I know small towns. I know small towns with a shit ton of drunks. Right. And they'll be stuck at the bar causing a scene, throwing glasses at people. The cops will show up. Hey, throw Tony in the back.
Right. Right. That's what I was about to say. I know people who's been escorted home by the police because they were drunk. Mm-hmm. They didn't throw them in jail or shoot them. Right. It was, more officers need to be trained that way.
Breaking a law is not justifiable for death at all.
Murder, yeah.
Exactly. Until it is a situation where you have no choice but to take their life.
Right. Especially when it's unarmed, somebody's unarmed.
Oh my God, exactly. Or a sleeping woman. Right. Are you kidding me?
Right, yeah. It makes no sense for anybody to lose their life when they're not a threat to you. A physical threat to you at all. Huh?
My eyes twitching.
Oh. I mean, it's true. Like, you should not be able to get away with killing somebody who's not a physical threat to you.
But they can just say that I felt threatened, and that's because their word
by a
has more
125 pound woman.
Right.
But I'm not.
No, they have the badge, so their word carries more weight than a civilian. So because their word carries more weight, they need to be held at a higher standard.
Right. I mean, I want to get this straight. I'm not against police officers.
Oh no,
I have family members who are in.
A lot of them are amazing
police officers, but there are bad police officers.
Oh God,
that need to be removed from the police force.
The majority.
I don't want to say majority, but there are bad.
I will.
There are bad cops, and then there are who are cops who don't acknowledge that there are bad cops, who won't stop the bad cops from doing bad things. Then there are good cops, good police officers.
Anybody that can comfortably gravitate in that neutral, silent area where they don't speak on problems.
That's the problem.
They are the problem.
Yeah.
I don't care. Once you've decided that you're not going to speak up against oppressors, you are a fucking oppressor.
Yeah.
If you watch one of your brothers in blue taking a life and you knew that it was wrong and you don't speak on it, you are just like him.
Yeah.
If you all this crap that's going on, if you don't say anything,
right? Yeah.
I'll leave it alone on the racism topic. I'll leave it alone.
Well, one thing that Chris Rock said, there's certain jobs that you cannot be bad at. One of them is a police officer and the airplane pilot. You can't have bad airplane pilots and say, there's
he had a mistake and killed 300
people.
people.
I just had a mistake and ran into a mountain. You can't have that. You can't have a police officer. You can't have bad teachers.
Right.
You can't have bad police officers who are racist or who are just bad people who just don't like people, who have bad attitudes, who have psychological problems.
Right. People that don't like kids teaching kids.
Yeah. You can't have bad teachers who abuse kids. You just can't have certain jobs, or any job really. You can't have bad people, but there's certain mistakes. Jobs you can't.
There's no room for it.
Well, there's mistakes, and then there's people who purposely do things and call it a mistake.
Touche. Yeah. That's probably a better way to say it.
You just can't have those people doing certain jobs. There needs to be some kind of testing, psychological testing. There needs to be more training. Background
testing. There needs to be regulations that say if they get fired from over here because of a violent altercation, they can't get another job at another police station.
Right. If you get certain...
Which they do.
This guy, David Chavin, or whatever his last name is, that killed George Floyd, he had 17 different... Before George Floyd, he had 17 different altercations that were reported by... Most of them were reported by other officers. That's the whole thing.
It was that bad that even your brothers in blue.
And he still had a job. So if he would have been fired 10 years ago,
he would still have his life.
Exactly.
Right now.
Yeah. But we kind of went off subject and went.
Definitely. We for sure.
But I mean, that's how conversations happen.
I'm not mad at it. We talked about stuff that's important. It matters.
Right. So I mean, it was good to have you on the show. Finally.
Yeah, I know. We've been putting it off for a good old minute now.
Yeah, so we're going to put this on your channel and my channel. Mm-hmm. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what kind of response we get.
Oh, facts. Before we end this, I want to, anybody that's interested in broadening their understanding of other religions, I have 2 recommendations for you to see. There is an interfaith panel. They actually did it twice. There is... if you search the name Omar Suleiman, he is a representative of my religion. Okay. And he had people from Christianity and Judaism stand at a panel. They answered questions from the audience, and the conversations that they had were so beneficial to anybody that wants to bridge the gaps between the misunderstandings of religions. Okay. They had so many great things to talk about, their responses, and just... YouTube, Omar Suleiman, Interfaith Panel, whatever it is. There's 2 of them. They're like an hour and a half long each. So you won't be bored though. Right. You will learn so much in such a good way. I definitely recommend that. But that's all I've got.
Okay. So your YouTube channel.
My YouTube channel.
Samantha Dixon.
Yes.
And social media?
Oh man. I mean, it's all Samantha Dixon except Instagram is probably Samantha Dixon YT at the end.
Okay.
Yeah, I try to keep it all the same so I don't confuse myself.
Right. Yeah. Now, are you going to do the podcast, your own podcast?
If you assist me with it.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I do.
All right, facts then.
Samantha Speaks.
Yeah, cool.
Okay.
With the shit.
All right. Well, thanks for coming. We'll do this again soon.
Thank you so much for having me. I had fun.
No problem.
Toledo, rep your city. Visit us online at the419grind.com.